Welcome to My Drunk Fandoms.
Guess what? Guess what?
What?
Amon is not Ko.
Amon is not Ko. But
So sad.
who Amon is pretty awesome and intriguing. And we'll
It's
get to
very-
that later in the
God.
video.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I wanted to also talk about the horrible fathers in the Avatar world.
Man, they got some bad dads.
Ozai.
Ozai, Yakone, and Hiroshi win the worst
Hiroshi
father
might
award.
win the worst father award.
I mean, he's basically trying to kill his daughter at this point.
Wow, we're just jumping to Endgame, aren't we?
Yep. I mean,
All right.
I feel like we need to.
One thing I have to say. Brian, you were almost correct with your craft.
Oh, so close.
You said Tarlok is Amon and he used bloodbending to, you know.
I was right about that.
You were right.
I was right about that.
But it was his brother. And guess what? I ended up getting my brother angst in the end as well.
You did. Can we talk about the fight scenes
Angst.
for a hot second?
A-A.
For a hot second, let's talk about the fight scenes in this. Iron Man.
Iron Man!
Come on. What is that?
Okay, I had a question for you. We were discussing what Amon's motives were.
Yes.
Okay.
Because, okay. Here's...
You did just not.
I just did. Here's my issue.
Didn't.
The entire revolution is all about equality. Equality between benders and equalists.
And that's actually a great idea, and I think it's a great thing to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a legitimate concern, you know?
But they didn't explore it
Yeah.
at all. And I feel like once we got the whole revelation that Amon is Noatak and he's Tarlok's brother and he's also Yakone's son, we realized that Amon's motives aren't about equality at all. And so by the end of the season, when it's all said and done, the Amon issue is resolved, but the issue of
the actual issue
of
is not.
non-bender suppression in Republic City, if there is any.
No, there is. I actually believe there is.
Well, then okay.
If you're not a bender, there's several things you can't do.
That issue is left completely unattended.
Certain jobs you can't have. Certain, I
Right.
mean, it's just not.
Right.
I feel like Avatar Korra, hopefully in season 2, she will be the one that unites the benders, non-benders. You know, she will be like she said in that one scene that was actually very important to me.
What else are they gonna do in season 2?
Don't even. But she in that one scene that was very important to me, she says, or one of the non-benders group says, "You're our Avatar too," and that really struck me as I think a very defining theme.
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
Also, the dad says something to the brothers, and that struck me: soldiers of revenge. And what's interesting is both of them ended up unintentionally. They wanted to be as different from their father as possible. Think about it. Let's see. Tarlok, he joined the council,
Right.
which Sokka was on previously, and which sentenced their father. That's kind of And then Amon is trying to get rid of bending, which was so important to their father.
Right.
But in the end, they still are
Now,
like their father.
yeah, when
He's still a
Noatak
father,
turns against his father, he says, he mentions how he thinks his father is the weak one, and how the only thing that is more powerful than their bloodbending is the Avatar.
And thus begins his obsession. Alright, endgame.
Endgame. Alright, so...
Too easy, too simple, tie up all the plot points.
It was very simple. I was disappointed by this episode. So Amon takes Korra's bending. He takes Korra's bending away. He manipulates her bending with his own blood bending.
Yeah.
Okay, which
somehow
unlocks her air bending.
Which I can suspend my I can do that. That's okay, because with the explanation that she hadn't learned it, she finally.
Speaking of airbenders, how the hell did they catch Tenzin and his family? Where did that happen?
When you think about it, it doesn't make any sense.
By all accounts, it doesn't make sense. So she's unlocked her airbending, which she uses to kick Amon's booty.
I liked the slow punch through a window, though I wish there was
Actually,
more
I think it
of
was
a
a
fight.
kick.
Slow kick. There we go. That's nice. And I think that's the metaphorical end of Amon. When the Amon mask
When
comes
his
out of the
mask
water. Symbolic. Love it. Character,
He
though.
somehow escapes and grabs his brother, and they go
On a boat.
on a boat. Ha!
God, we're such losers.
And then comes the most tragic point in the series, I think.
Yeah.
After you've gained sympathy for both of these brothers, Tarlok does what he does.
You know what I want to do? I want to see a rewatch of the entire series, and with this new perspective.
Yeah.
And I can feel every scene with the two of them. I'll be like, oh, why?
So Tarlok does what he does, and you know
Thor and Loki.
You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he knows this is
It's a
the only way
murder-suicide.
that he can redeem himself at this point.
And that's the most sad thing ever. The fact that he has no hope
But
in his life, in his brother's life, in anything anymore, that he thinks murder-suicide is the way.
yeah.
And that's just... And I'm shocked it made it on Nickelodeon's show. Because that was dark.
Cut to Korra.
That's where it should have ended, I'm just going to say that.
That is where it should have been. I was hoping, up to this point, I was thinking that season 2 was going to be Korra's journey to
And how great would have that
regain
been, right?
her bending. Yeah.
Because I think she has no self-confidence without her bending. To
Right.
build up her own confidence
and
without
she could
it...
have worked on her spirituality.
She could have lived with non-benders, seen actual,
Yes.
like things that happened to them.
Yes.
Things that they could, injustices. That could have been an actual thing,
She could have become the the non-bender's avatar.
It would have been a really beautiful, symbolic thing. But no. You want to say what happens?
But instead, she goes to the cliff. Now,
Okay, yeah.
the cliff.
Let's talk about this just a second.
If this were not a kid's show,
This would have been where she was probably going to commit suicide, or thinking about. The teardrop, I still think, is symbolic of that. Because I bet in her head, she's thinking, in my mind, what good is an avatar with no bending? Maybe she should just restart the cycle,
now,
right? So,
she goes into the avatar state here.
well, after Aang shows up.
After Aang shows up and explains...
Which was nice, I'll just say.
Right, and he explains that when we're at our lowest point that we're receptive to the biggest change, which is very true, and I like it.
But there has to be some, actual effort involved.
There does.
know?
But that aside,
Okay.
She goes into the avatar state then.
Which is amazing.
That scene was amazing. I was disappointed that it was wrapped up in that way.
Yeah, me too.
But it was still amazing. Now,
So beautiful.
had she jumped, I think that she would have gone into the avatar state as defense.
See, that would have been so much more interesting to me. To have brought her that low,
But it's a kid's show. What do you think?
Traveled Fire Nation? Meet Zuko? I want
what
to
do
see
you
Zuko.
think? Are we wrong? Do we have something here? What? Tell us. Anyway.
How would you have liked it to end?
So now that Korra's over,
What are we gonna do?
what's left for us? It seems to be all that we've been doing lately. We've got things planned. We are not going to take long breaks like we just did.
Yeah. Such as Game of Thrones.
We're going to start doing stuff with Game of Thrones since I actually read... Well,
Okay,
it's not
you want to say
it's
something?
not Game
about
of Thrones. We're going to be reviewing the Song of Ice and Fire series.
Yes.
AKA
which
Game
has
of
now
Thrones.
become known as Game of Thrones because of the HBO, which is great.
Right. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be hitting some of the fandoms that we promised we'd cover earlier on, i.e. Harry Potter, Kingdom Hearts, things like that.
Yes.
Expect more Poke Cocktail moments.
Happy.
Geeking.
The end, I like it.
So we used to have ovaries, but then the Fire Nation attacked.
Great minds. It'll quench ya. Nothing's quenchier. It's the quenchiest.